What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about currency in Hogwarts Legacy. This is actually the rare thing that we haven't talked about yet, ever for this game in terms of how will money work, where will you get it, what will you use to, or I guess how will you use it in the world, like what can you buy from it, and I went back to purposely look over because I remember I was like, all right, well, you buy things, or at least you hover over things in the State of Play trailer. So I made sure to go back, and there's a couple clues in there that actually went completely over my head the first time that I watched the trailer. So we're going to talk about that. I first want to thank the two different people that asked of this of me. Two different people kind of suggested it. Mohammed H11, hopefully I'm saying that right, and Thomas Coronado, and they both basically asked the same thing. Asking about currency, do you start out broke, inheritance money, do we get our own account at Gringotts, how do we earn money, etc., and then what can you do with money? So, all right, let's talk about a couple different moments in the State of Play trailer. The first one I want to look at is when you are in the room of requirement, right? This is, I really think, a very clever idea. I like this idea. I remember saying it right during the State of Play live stream. This is a very, almost like Dragon Age. I'm sure it's been done again, as I've said, in many other games. It's just, I kind of think of the first one that pops in my head, and I roll with it. Dragon Age in the way of like sending people out on missions on like the map, and you get rewards for it, right? And it takes in-game time to do something like that. And this very much reminds me of that, where when you're in the room of requirement, you hover over things and you set it in motion, and then you come back so many minutes later, and that's kind of it. Now it shows you making a T-shaped potion station. You can see they're moonstones, so they're about resources, not necessarily about currency, but I guess you can consider resources currency. And it says you have 999 and you need 40, and also says potion station budget 0 out of 2, progress room of requirement missions to increase the budget. So I very much think that simply, as you expand the game, you're going to be able to make these multiple potion stations that you're going to be able to brew the materials actually in. But in terms of when you're just making things go, when you're clicking on, okay, I want to brew this potion, it looks like you just click on the one that or any of the ones that you have at your disposal. Now, those ones I'm going to assume are basically unlocks. I don't think there'll be a requirement. I don't think there'll be like a currency attached to that where you need to have so many of this or so many of that. In fact, it doesn't show it. Now, they may have hid that from us. Obviously, they hid kind of like button mapping for spells. Like, we don't know what buttons they're pressing. So, you know what I mean? So, like, there is things in terms of the buttons you press on your controller that lead to an action. They did hide some of those. But in further examples in the State of Play, they would have done it. So I guess they did do it. So it's odd that they didn't show anything. So I'm going to assume, say you go to Potions class, and if you do, remember this ties in. Remember we talked about, well, maybe if you go to classes, you unlock things. And maybe there's ways to unlock things if you don't go to the classes. That's kind of what I think. I think you'll go to the class. If you go on a certain day or whatever, your attendance is perfect, whatever it happens to be, you will unlock X potion, or you'll take a test, or you'll do this or that, and you'll unlock a potion. And then that potion will be available to you at any time to use in the room of requirement. You brew it, you leave, you come back 25 minutes later, whatever, you grab it, and then you can use it in the field. And same thing when you're outside now. So when you're outside, you're making a cottage, right? And you're just conjuring it up, and you have 714 moonstones, and it costs 40 to make a cottage house. Again, I think it depends on what you consider resources versus currency. Resources could be currency. So that's what we get during that entire, situation. Then they move on to talking about what you can do outside the walls, right? And this is when you can go and you can actually shop. And the things I found interesting here is we see the currency, and this flew right by me the first time I played this. You see, it looks like gold, silver, and bronze. Now, they could have different names for it, whatever, but those are, what you would normally refer to those as. And that's it. You hover over the items, and you pay the amount. So it seems like there's 3 different currencies generally in this game. Now, how you would earn it, I'd very much would assume looting. I'd very much assume opening chests. In fact, they showed kind of things with opening chests, kind of layers, right? They've talked about that. Actually, I think that was at the very end of the State of Play. I guess the question for me is, well, there is actually kind of a little wrinkle into it, right? In terms of like an interest, because again, I'm going to go to like The Witcher, or really many games only have one kind of currency, and I mean like gold or just it's a money. It's a form, you know what I mean? Whereas this has three different. They're all money. They're all used to buy things, but can you like convert gold into silver or silver into gold? Do different things cost. Okay, well, this thing costs 1 gold or 100 silver, or it only costs a gold, so you need to have a gold. It is a little odd to separate your currency into 3. I'm not gonna make more of it, like stretch it out more than it needs to be, like freak out because it's not the most simplistic it needs to be. It makes sense that you would have something like that, specifically for Harry Potter, Hogwarts Legacy, Wizarding World. It makes sense. It is just a little odd though that it's just gold. You pick up gold and that's it. There is no other thing. But again, I'd imagine it's very similar to just your casual run-of-the-mill games, opening chests, defeating enemies. But again, the interesting thing to me is what will give you specific things. So obviously gold is the most important. And again, if you can't exchange one for the other, so like if things only cost gold and you're not allowed to change silver into gold, then you only need to get like gold coins. Can you pick those up on enemies, or is it pretty rare? Do enemies only drop like bronze? Do you have to go to chests? Do you have to do raids or layers or whatever to get to, to just get gold and maybe you get some silver or whatever? Like that's going to be the most interesting to me is how they divvy it up. But honestly, and again, in terms of what you're going to be able to spend it on, I feel like the trailer did a pretty good amount of stuff. Now, you could argue wands. We've actually talked about that before. Like, because the idea of a wand, I mean, you're not supposed to, you're not supposed to go to the store to buy a wand every week, right? You're supposed to pick one and that's it. And so that'll be interesting. Could you put like charms or like runes basically on your wand, which would enhance a specific ability or enhance a specific skill? We don't necessarily know because actually wand buying the first time you get a wand, that's all pretty secretive in terms of what they've shown. So like, are we going to be able to do that? Maybe. Again, in terms of like attire, that seems pretty obvious. I'm sure like the room of requirement, all the stuff that you can brew there, and again, this is kind of like a classic gaming thing, right? That's going to be the best way of getting things in terms of saving you money, because I'm sure there's going to be shops that sell those things, that sell those potions, but if you just patiently wait 25 minutes for your potion station to do it, you will be able to, make it for free. And again, it does seem like you make it for free. Yes, you need the resource. Moonstone seems to be the only thing you need in this game to create things like stations inside buildings themselves in the room of requirement. So that resource is going to be important. But after that, a lot of the things that you create in the room of requirement, that's time that you come back, take, and then use out in the field, I feel like those things are all going to be free, no resources required. You just have to unlock them. And that could be, maybe you have to have your skill points high enough in a certain branch. Maybe you have to go to classes a certain amount of times, like we saw in the state of play, right? Maybe you have to do missions. Certain missions will unlock things. That's very common, and it's very likely that happens. And then money, again, that will be, well, you can buy those things. You don't have to wait 25 minutes, but that's free, and the other way you have to spend money. So then you can buy things, buy attire. But I don't know how crazy it'll be. I mean, I know people have always asked, like, can you buy a pet? I mean, that would be cool. Like, who's to say you can't decorate your room? So, like, you have the common room of everybody, but what about your own, like, where you sleep? Can you personalize it? Can you change the carpet? Can you, I don't know, silly things like that. Are you going to be able to do that? Maybe. I really don't actually see why not. And those would all be things you would do, I think, with gold. I'm trying to think of any super, like, extraneous, like what, because like spells and stuff, it would, like some games, maybe spells or like abilities like that, maybe you have to buy them. I think you'll just unlock them in some way. Maybe, again, could be skills you have to get to a certain point. Could be you have to do certain missions to unlock certain spells. Whatever it happens to be, I doubt you buy them unless maybe you can buy like books and then you can learn a spell from a book, and that's, so there's a couple different ways, I guess, of handling everything. We'll have to see how, they take it. But let me know what you guys think. If you want anything like this, any kind of videos like this, I've just been kind of taking people's suggestions. So if you want me to make a video, leave it in the comments. I'll read it out loud, shout your name out, and we'll go from there. Make sure you guys are subscribed, bell icon turned on. I try to do these videos every 3 or 4 days. Thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you guys on the next video.